Okay guys, welcome back to another video, episode 4 of the Chris Benoit Project videos. Today we're going to be getting into the negatives of why it is a bad idea to erase Chris Benoit from WWE history. So after this happened, stuff went down, basically on the night after the Benoit tribute show, which I was actually going to come up here and review on Saturday, but I cannot find a full version of it anywhere. I can find clips of it on YouTube. It's not on the network. I've looked. They like to say, oh, every episode of Monday Night Raw is on the network. No, it's not. No, they're not. Not the Benoit tribute. But I might still come up here and say a couple things about it if I can find some stuff on it. I think it's just stuff from the Hard Knocks DVD and you had CM Punk and John Cena and Chavo Guerrero and guys like that talking about him. But I'm here to talk about the negatives of why the negative side of Chris Benoit being erased and basically blackmailed from history. Look, I can understand it. I can understand why you would want to do it. But just the way that they did it was just freaking... They didn't even look into the... I still, to this day, I still think this case needs to be looked into. And not just swept under the rug like they did here. It's just oh, yay, it was a double murder-suicide, and then it's just done. No. Okay, there's more to it. There's more to it, and you need to know that. People, come on. So if you guys are detectives and you have a little bit more experience, anyone that's a detective or police person, if you're watching this, please consider it. Look, I can understand erasing him. I get that what he did was bad, but why were we just assuming that he... Seriously, why would he just go home? The one of the main factors is, I talked about this yesterday, is that they were in the house with him, dead. Who does that? Who freaking does that in their right mind? Anyway, one of the big reason why, and this is mainly because of editing issues, too. If someone is watching, say a casual fan's watching, say a casual fan's watching a match, and it was a match that mentioned Chris Benoit in some way. It doesn't even have to be a match of his. Or, if... Okay, so you guys remember the ECW unreleased DVDs that they did? I have all 3 of them, by the way. They're really good. Pick them up if you have a chance. There was this match on there with, I believe, Too Cold Scorpio and Dean Malenko. Well, on the edited DVD version, Chris Benoit does not come out and interrupt the match. However, on the network version, Chris Benoit and I don't know if Eddie Guerrero comes out. I don't remember if he does. It might have been just him and Dean Malenko out there. And they're double teaming Scorpio. And that happened. See, that's the thing that kind of bothers me about this whole thing, is that you're taking certain parts out of certain matches that people are going to watch, and then one day they could come across the unedited version with Chris Benoit, and they're going to be asking, "Oh, wait, why wasn't this on the other version I watched?" That's my main problem with all of this, is that it's taking history, it's taking certain parts out of matches, certain moments in history. Another example, someone buys the Eddie Guerrero tribute DVD, which I do not have. Again, on the network version, you have all of Chris Benoit's segments, or his segment where he basically talks about Eddie. It hurts. But on the DVD, it's not there. There's nothing, not one mention of Chris Benoit. And look, I understand it was released in 2008. This was after he did it. But I mean, that was a big part of that that tribute, was Chris Benoit giving that speech where he just freaking broke down at the end. It was just freaking, it was sad. It was sad. But it was still a big part of what, I mean, Eddie and Chris were freaking best friends. He did not take Eddie Guerrero's death well. You know, when Chavo had to tell him. I mean, you just can't do that. You just can't erase stuff like that. I don't care if you're putting it on DVD. I don't care if you're to just not mention him. I mean, if you don't want to mention him on TV, that's fine. But at least put, like, you know, stuff on DVD, or put stuff. If you don't want to mention him on your live television program, that's fine. But, you know, put stuff out there. At least on the DVDs and stuff, so which we don't get anymore, sadly. Or at least the US and Canada don't. US and Canada don't, which sucks. Because there's a lot more that could have been made. I said it a while back. I made a comment on one of Relaxing Ghost, one of his DVD reviews, that I would have loved to have seen an Eddie Guerrero or a Guerrero family anthology DVD, even though we already have a couple Eddie Guerrero DVDs, which I will be reviewing in the future. But, you know, just stuff like that. And then there's certain moments in history that certain people aren't going to be remembered for because Chris Benoit was in them. For example, that match that I talked about yesterday, the Chris Jericho match at the Royal Rumble, 2001 for the Intercontinental title. Yeah, that match will never be recognized again because of what happened that weekend. And it's sad because that was a good match. The only way you can find that match is on the ladder match DVD, the first one, not the second one. Don't have that one yet either. Or on the WWE Network, or the Royal Rumble 2001 DVD. That's the only way you're going to find that match, unless some non-WWE, like, YouTuber that's not, like, the WWE YouTube channel is not going to have it. The 2004 Royal Rumble, they always upload Royal Rumble matches to their YouTube channel. That match will never be put on there because Chris Benoit won it. Not only did he win it, but he was in there from the beginning of the match, went through 29 other people to win that match, 62 minutes. And then there's my favorite Chris Benoit match of all time. The triple threat match between him, Shawn Michaels, and Triple H at WrestleMania 20 that same year. Have that on DVD and have it on the Benoit DVD, the Hard Knocks one. Nothing is edited out of that because they were both released in 2004. I don't think that match has been released on DVD since. It might be on one of the, I don't know if it's on any of the WrestleMania anthology DVDs. I wouldn't know. I don't have any of them. But I know it's on WrestleMania 20 DVD and the Chris Benoit Hard Knocks DVD. His match with Kurt Angle at the previous Royal Rumble for the WWE Championship. That match will never be talked about. None of these matches. Well, oh, yeah. Not to mention, Randy Orton, that first world title that he won, he beat Chris Benoit. He's never going to be able to fully enjoy that, which sucks. I like Randy Orton. You know, that's my main problem with all of this. By erasing Chris Benoit, you're also taking away from these people that had these, like Kurt Angle, Chris Jericho, Randy Orton, the time he won the tag team titles with Edge, which was a cool moment. It's on the network. There was a couple times, however, like they have done a good job to not mention him on any of their DVDs, or not put in any of his matches, but I have seen a couple of times, mainly on the Rey Mysterio DVD, I forget which one, I think it's Life of a Masked Man, I'll have to look. But they do mention Chris Benoit on commentary, and I just kind of went, oops, they forgot that one, but you know what, that's fine, because he needs, well, yeah, his last weekend was bad. His in-ring work still, for the younger generation out there that doesn't know or hasn't seen any of his matches, they don't know what they missed out on. Look, I started watching wrestling right after he did this, like 2008-ish, so he'd already been dead for a year, almost. But one of my first matches I saw was Chris Benoit versus Booker T, No Way Out, 2006, on DVD. For the United States title, they tried to do the rehash of their Best of 7 series in ECW, or not ECW, WCW. Yeah, guys, Booker T was in ECW, just so you know. I'm kidding. But no, that's my main problem with all this. By erasing him, you're also taking away great moments from these people. Randy Orton winning his first world title. Benoit winning his first world title at Mania 20. Oh, yeah, that 60-minute Iron Man match that I still haven't seen with Triple H on Raw. All that stuff is never going to be talked about again I'm still going to talk about it, but, by the general public, there's not going to be any mention of this match. Or when they talk about, what's the greatest WrestleMania ending? Chris Benoit, to this day, is the only Canadian wrestler, I believe, to win a WrestleMania main event by submission. The first and only Canadian wrestler to do it. Not the only wrestler in general to do it, because Daniel Bryan did it 10 years later. And CM Punk is actually kind of to thank for that. Had he not walked out when he did, Daniel Bryan wouldn't have got that moment, probably. Because he said, look, it's his time, and if you're not going to give it to me, give it to him. And when he walked out, they couldn't deny it any longer. But if it hadn't been for Punk walking out, Daniel Bryan wouldn't have got that moment. And guess what? He won the exact same way Chris Benoit did at Mania 20 with the crossface. Oh, guys, you thought you got rid of him? Guess what? The crippler crossface and the yes lock, or whatever Daniel Bryan calls it, that's the same thing. That's the same thing. You're calling it by a different name. There's little hints of, Benoit references on, if you really pay attention. But he has not been mentioned by name on television for the past 15 years. And tomorrow is the 15-year anniversary of the day that he committed suicide. Today would have been Daniel's 15-year anniversary death. Yesterday was Nancy's. It's really sad. I'm not denying it. I'm not denying that it happened. I'm not. I just have a different take on it. I have different reasonings for why I believe certain things in it. And I'm not saying that Chris Benoit was right in doing what he did. CTE might have played a factor in that. You can't really say that he did it intentionally when they found that his brain resembled an 85-year-old with Alzheimer's when they studied it. That's something that people need to look into, and it's a shame they don't. Oh yeah, and guess what? It was studied right here in West Virginia. University of West Virginia is where they studied his brain. Sad part about this is that he would have been dead after 10 months because of his enlarged heart where he was taking the testosterone, I guess. And yeah, tomorrow I'm going to be talking about, this has nothing to do with, like, the tragedy. Well, it kind of does, really, if you think about it. But tomorrow I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on his son David's ambitions to become a wrestler, and what I think of him using the name Chris Benoit Jr. I don't know about that. You're just going to have to wait and hear my thoughts on that, because, it's really interesting. By the way, if you want to see where I got that idea, go check out Chris Van Vliet's interview with David Benoit. I think it was 2 years ago. Really professional. He did a really good job with it. Check that out. It's really cool. Tomorrow we'll be talking about David. I might come up here if I find enough footage, or find maybe a review of it online, of the Benoit tribute show that night. So, if you guys enjoyed this, as always, like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Peace.